Hey, Vinny Milkus, Vinny Milkus Outdoors. I'm changing the name from fishing to outdoors. Got a new logo, will be out shortly. So, to get to the Lowrance Ghost, I have a lot of video that I filmed at the Arizona Open, One Bass Arizona Open at Lake Havasu, and then also installing it. Camera went down. I lost a lot of the video for the AZ One Bass Open. Still got some that I'm trying to recover for the install video of the Lowrance Ghost. But in the meantime, I'm going to go over some pros and cons of it because I had it out for 6 days out there, two of which were really bad. I'm talking about 30, 40 mile an hour winds at some point, probably sustained 15 to 20, 3 foot rollers. And then, of course, I had 3 days of tournament fishing. So I'm going to give a couple of pros and cons that you probably don't hear about as much or in as much detail on some of the other videos about the Lowrance Ghost. So installation wasn't that bad, and we'll go hopefully over that further in the video, and I'll have some pointers on that. But the number one thing for me that's going to change the way I fish is actually the efficiency of that trolling motor. On the first 3 days of practice, which were arguably the worst weather days when it comes to wind and being able to hold in a spot, or just the overall workload that this trolling motor had to go through, I'd come back to the hotel and plug it in, and one day it was 75% of my battery was still there, and that's just after a 6 to 8 hour day of fishing. The second day, I believe, is like 50%. I think overall on one of the days, it maybe 12 hours of fishing, or one of the days I came back, I plugged in. The lowest I ever seen it was on a 40%, which doesn't give you fractionals, or in between, so it's either 30 or 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% charge. So this, I think the lowest I got it was a 40% charge, and that is really going at it like 60% plus. I think I just wanted to test it out one day, and I just went balls to the wall, covering some water. That is going to change. And if you did the power pull, here's a thought. I mean, it's sidetrack, but if you actually put like a power pull, and these, oh, by the way, these batteries are over 2 years old. They're Everstart Walmart batteries. If you were to put like a charge system on it, there's no telling how long you could actually go. You might be able to just not even charge plug in for a few days. So that was one of the pros there. I guess the second biggest pro for me on this thing would be the foot pedal. It's a spot lock, or the foot pedal. The foot pedal was actually, it's pretty responsive. It feels better than my Fortrex. I really love it. Melts great with my foot, and just seems like that's one of the reasons I picked it over the Force. Is just that foot pedal was just feels great. And the cable, I mean, it has that one big cable, but you can kind of manage it around, put it where you need it, and then it's just there. So it's like, I didn't want to say really spot lock is great. It is changing the way I'm fishing for sure. But I mean, they other brands have that, and is what it is. But yeah, so that'd be my third, would be, or close, either a second or third would be spot lock. But here's what I'm getting into is the cons of this thing. So I mean, you're going to get a lot of videos that have pros. People are going to talk about the pros, but here's the cons on this thing. So I took it out after the installing it or whatnot, to specs, took it out and hit some really rough water. I'm talking 3-4 foot rollers, and for some guys up north, that's really not that bad. I mean, this was pretty bad, and I come from up north and I fish a lot of big water, but I broke part of the mounting bracket. Now, it's just it doesn't affect the operation of the Ghost. It doesn't even affect it deploying or retracting or even being stable now. But there's a metal bracket, and I'll try to get some video of it, or not a metal bracket, but a metal bar that goes through it. It helps it articulate back, or in, not the trolling motor itself, but the bracket going into the water, and it's held directly on the, or that articulates directly on the bracket itself, and it is usually enclosed by the bracket, and it's like where the gray pewter stuff is. Well, the top of that, actually, after that rough water, I went and looked, and there's two little pieces that had snapped off, and it's on either side, so it's no longer like encased by it. I mean, they're just a little tiny, like the weakest point you'd think on that aluminum stuff, and it broke off. Doesn't affect it whatsoever, or at least so far that I've tried it, because that would happen on like the first day being out. I was kind of disappointed, but at the same time, didn't affect operationally or deploying or stowing or whatnot. Granted, in that rough water, for as opposed to the Minn-Kota, which I thought their bracket seems to be more sturdy or more sturdy. Coming from the Fortrex, I never had that issue where I've had stuff rattle loose on that. I had to fall apart on it. It didn't really affect the operation of that bracket, and I mean, either is this, but I never had actual physical pieces, snap off from the aluminum, and it always felt really stable. This, it's got a little slop to it there, and you probably need another strap. I might do if I ever encounter 3-4 foot plus rollers again. But that was the con, because it's not like a huge thing, but it also, you pay $3,000 for something, and then it breaks on the first trip, or a piece of it does, even if it is not operationally. But they claim that this is supposed to be like this incredibly sturdy mount, which is pretty good. But like I said, I snapped those little pieces off, so that bar is no longer fully enclosed by the pewter bracket. It's exposed, but it can't come out anyway the way it is. It's just a weird little odd thing that happened, and I test my equipment. I go out there and I put it through the ringer. So that's it. See, the other thing on that, there is some occasional lag on, like it almost catches up. It's very responsive. Sometimes though, there is a time on that electric side of things where, like, all of a sudden it doesn't respond, and then it plays catch up really quick, and it comes and gets you. And then the spot lock, that's the number 2 con, because that's not me. That's that trolling motor. Like, when I hit it, and it only happens like, I don't know, in a whole day of fishing, maybe once or twice that I could tell. But you'd hit it, or you'd turn it with, and it seemed like there's a lag, and all of a sudden it would just catch up really quick to, where it's supposed to be. And then the third thing, which this one could be me, I need to recalibrate that motor, almost that engine, that trolling motor, is when you hit spot lock, sometimes it'll stay in that spot, but it'll want to pull you back and come around, and almost like it's positioning the boat in a certain angle. And there was a couple times where it'd be on something, and there's another con, but because that one right there could be me. I need to recalibrate it, but it seemed odd that it would go where I wanted it to, but it would just kind of back off and come back at a different angle, and it would sometimes almost throw me out of the boat. But I'm going to recalibrate or check that out. But here is the fourth one, I guess. It'd be the third one, but this one's definitely not me. But this is also a pro. So on the foot pedal, the buttons on the side, so you have your 2 top buttons. One's a continuous, one is your anchor lock, and the other two on the bottom are, your miscellaneous. You can put power poles or whatnot. I haven't really designated anything for those yet. But the anchor lock and the continuous, they're very sensitive. I'll tell you that. I've accidentally touched them a couple times where I put anchor lock on and I actually touched again, and it took off. I'm like, what? Where's the anchor lock? Or I'll accidentally hit continuous, and the thing just keeps going. Or I'll want it continuous, and then the sensitivity of the buttons is, I guess, a pro or a con. I just got to get used to it. But just to be aware that those are very sensitive buttons, and you can actually double tap them and you're off, or you can actually tap them when you're just trying to, articulate the trolling motor itself. What else? Other than that, I'm happy with it. The efficiency. I mean, you think, well, you kind of broke a piece of it. Well, I could probably JB weld it. We're gonna try that. You're gonna return it. I am going to go with right now I'm debating live sight or live scope, but at the same time, I'm probably not going to return it. I like that efficiency is a game changer for me. I no longer have to worry about that. I know that I have plenty capacity, even with those old batteries. And if I get new batteries, who knows? If I get the charge system, I'm going to be money, especially on these big lakes that I'm trying to cover a lot of water on. Like, let's take a U.S. Open, where you're a lot of times you are covering a lot of water. It's a finesse power fishing type lake. This is going to be a game changer, because then I come back and shoot, you plug in, you're still 50-75% charge. That in itself is pretty amazing. Now is the Ghost quiet, which I know I'm 10 minutes into this, and I'm gonna wrap this up, but and this is probably something that a lot of people have heard how quiet it is. Well, the head's pretty noisy. I think underneath the water it's not as bad, but I've heard the Ultrix is a lot worse on top, and I'm coming from a Fortrix. So I think the noise aspect of it is not, it's not really bothering me, but I notice how noisy it is. But that motor is on top of that head. Underneath, I don't think it's bad. Oh, then there's another thing. So if you have that HDI or version, which I think that's all that's out there right now, HDI meaning the cone transducer in there. If you don't have the live or the HDS lives or the carbons, or say you got Gen 3s or something like that, because that's what I have on mine. You can use that transducer. You need to know how to, when you hook it up. So yeah, you can't operate the Ghost itself with that unit, but you can still use that HDI transducer for your TUD and your down imaging. And I use it fairly effectively on the lake, in the Arizona Open, which I did horribly at anyway. At first I did all right, practice I did pretty awesome, but can't win. I mean, you can win practice all day, and it's not going to do anything. But anyway, you can hook that HDI transducer by simply hooking the cable up and then going through your systems and going to, I believe, sonar and installs. I'll probably do another video on that for you guys that have Gen 3s. But it will work. You just, obviously can't use the other functionalities of it by operating their Lowrance Ghost. But anyway, it's just, I'm impressed with it. Now the next step is to upgrade the electronics on my boat and get a live sight or live scope. Debating on, most people are going to say live scope, but we'll see. There's some costs that go into that, so I might try the live sight for what I'm doing. Got some other things that are going to be in the works too. When it comes to fishing, it involves people that watch this and subscribe to the channel, and then the soon to come Patreon. Then it comes to, it's going to be some giveaways and stuff if we hit certain metrics, and that could be going out on specified lakes that I have chosen throughout the country and fishing with me, having a good time. And everybody that does fish with me is going to have a great time, even if we blow it like on the in the tournaments. All my co-anglers always say that they have the greatest time, even if we do horribly, but we usually catch a lot of fish or just have a great time at the very least. So I got a couple lakes around the country that I'm going to be kind of randomly pick some people, and you can come fishing with me, hang out, and we'll have a good time. But those are things that are in the works. And plus I want to do a lot more videos here. We're going to get that new camera and hopefully blow the lid off this channel. Anyway, I'll have some more stuff on the Ghost, and hopefully recover some of that footage and get that out there so you can see how to install it, because it's really not that hard. There's I'll throw this out there. There's one thing that they said that they have the holes that line up. Well, on my Fortrix, when I took the bracket and I put it on there, 4 holes lined up, which that in the manual, that the minimum amount of bolts you should put on that Ghost is 4. Sorry about that. I got a little bit of a cold, but 4 bolts. Other than that, if you want on a Fortrix, I believe. Now, mine is a 101 Fortrix, so it's a 101 pound thrust, so it might have been a little older, but I think they're the same. So you probably, if you want to put the 6 bolts in, you're going to have to probably drill a couple of holes in your boat from there. But hey, this trolling motor should last for a long time, brushless, super efficient. Shouldn't have any issues. If you have any issues with it, you still just take it off and send it in. But or you take off the trolling motor itself and the bracket stays. So if you plan on staying with Lowrance, so I don't see a huge issue in that. I mean, I ran 4, I believe, this first time. I think I put a 5th in, and I'll probably put another one in because I want to make sure with the water that I hit that it is very stable. But if at the very least you'll be able to put the minimum 4, which are required from the installation manual of Lowrance. Anyway,